we're back with the vlog.
The same clothes, same people, same
if
exact
you saw
time.
this last week, it's very similar.
Yes, we have not moved. It has been 1 minute and 30 seconds since we stopped the last one.
I got a delicious Coke Zero.
We are ready to go. If we were getting paid for that ad placement, that would be...
Or just free Coke Zero. We would save so much money. Our players drink this like fucking Coke Zero.
No, there's no example. They drink it like Coke Zero bandits of some nature.
Ow! Ow!
So while he's getting himself together,
Ow!
You all right there?
The rivet in your jeans pulled my leg hair out.
We're some professionals here. So today we're going to talk about boon, snacks, and powers, and we're going to start with this question, which says: if a player wants to dip into a new general purview, how does accessing those new powers handled? Do they always need a new relic, or can divine forces add access to new purviews to old birthrights? And if that's true,
no.
Are there mechanics involved, or is it strictly a storytelling decision?
No. Let's summarize this question. What is this?
What they're actually saying is, I want to get a new general purview. Do I have to get a new relic with it on it, or can I have it put on one of my old relics?
First of all, general purviews are called APPs.
APPs,
yeah.
Which means all-purpose purviews.
Which is a stupid name. Basically, your non-Pantheon purview.
Yes. In the original books, also meant not Magic Mystery Prophecy, which were called special purviews.
Oh, my God.
So, we know what you mean.
Oh, you know what?
You're talking about a purview that you need to put on a relic.
We should not call PSPs purviews.
We should just call them something different.
Something
That's true.
Different.
And which stands for Pantheon-specific purview, which is way too long and stupid.
Yeah, everything, all the APPs could be purviews, and then the Pantheon-specific purview could be something different, and you could just say purview.
Yeah, so that sounds wonderful. We should do that someday. So, in the meantime, but we know you're talking about something like moon or sky or whatever it is that you have.
Yes, and you want to start it from scratch.
Right, and you don't have it on a relic yet.
Okay. So, are you a hero? If you are a hero, you will need a relic.
Yes.
This relic could be a new relic, or it could be someone putting, let's say, sky. We're going to do sky for all examples. I want sky. I have a sword that is a relic. I could get a soda can that's a new relic for sky, or a god could put sky onto my already here relic, and now I can use sky.
Yeah, it's actually not like complex. Just
yeah.
And you asked if it has to be mechanical or storyteller. It's up to the storyteller, but I mean, there is a mechanical process for putting a purview on a thing. Like, right. You can't just be like, boom, it happens. Usually we assume if a god has at least god level of that, they can just bleed on it and spend 10 legend and boom, it has the thing.
Boom, relic.
Gods that have artistry can also make relics that have purviews on them.
Mm-hmm. Or concept execution.
Yeah, or concept execution can also do that. And so either way, if a god is just giving it to you, then it doesn't really matter unless the storyteller wants to know how it got made.
But the important part here is it bound to you?
If it's a
not,
new one,
then you're going to have to fight over things.
That's true.
If it's the one that's already bound to you, that's not a problem.
Yeah, if it's a brand new relic, it won't be bound to you unless someone has used Birthright Bond on it. So if you're being given a new purview by a god that doesn't have magic or doesn't feel like spending a lot of legend on magic, which most of them don't, they'll probably just want to put it on something you already have.
Yeah.
If you do get a brand new one, because you made it or you found it or whatever, it's not going to be bound to you, so you'll have to roll against it when you use that purview.
But you'll be rolling against a 1.
Yeah.
So your odds of success are very, very good.
If you're just not one of our players, you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. They botch a lot. But then the other question was, or not the other question, but if you're a demigod, then you don't need the relic.
Yeah. It's better to have one because you have access to more of the purview.
Right, so if you're a demigod, and you're starting a new purview, you can buy every boon, or you can use every boon. You can buy whatever you want. You can use every boon without a relic up to your 1 below the max. So if you're Legend 6, you can use 1, 2, 3, 4 without a relic.
You can't use the 5th one because you don't have a relic. But if you have a relic, you can use whatever you want.
Yeah. Then you can also, for any of them, any of the ones you can use, you're still Legend 6, you can't use your top level epic. So if you're Legend 6 and you want to use level 3 Sky, and you have 5 epic appearance, you can't use that 5th epic appearance when you roll.
So it'll act like you have 4. You'll only get 7 autos for it instead of 11. But you can still use it. Demigods can actually kind of buy whatever they want, and it's a great time to experiment with that, because then you can say, well, I bought this and I don't like using it, so I'm not going to bother to get a relic, or I bought this and I want it to be part of my character, so I'm going to get a relic for it. And then you can go out and bug the people with artistry or kill something that you think might have it or whatever.
Yeah. And then are you a god and want to do it? Same thing as demigod.
Yeah.
Except you don't need the relic on you. You can keep it in your sanctum, and that counts as being on your person for.
Yeah. Plus, if you get high enough level as a god with that purview, then you can make yourself a relic with it. You know?
Yeah, you don't have a relic by the time you have fucking god level of something. Bananas.
And that's something actually we make a point of doing when characters like go up. Like if somebody goes up to demigod and we know they want to pick up a new purview, we might.
Right. Yeah.
Get
Talk to them ahead of time.
Relic.
Oh, were you thinking about halfway through demigod starting buying frost? Here's your frost relic.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
The gods know what's up.
They know what you're doing. They know what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. I want to make a Scion of Hermes who's a super speedster and has a concept similar to the Flash. If I have max dexterity, epic dexterity, and psychopomp, what do you think about doing the around the world punch? Do I need ultimate dexterity? Do I have to use the way? What about speed-based bonus damage? Do I get a bonus if I punch a person at Mach 17? What happens? Look what you did to him. Okay, so...
All right, so here we go. Let's hit a couple things first. Ultimate Dex. You could use Ultimate Dex to do that, but... I mean, it'd be a stunt. It wouldn't...
The thing is that speed does not... We might give you stunt dice to an attack if you attack using your speed in some way, but it isn't actually going to increase your damage. And the reason is because that's based on the idea of physics, and speed in Scion already ignores physics, and we're not going to make it work for that, but nothing else. Like, for example, you're right. Punching someone at Mach 17 would do massive, incredible damage no matter whether you were punching them with a feather or anything else. But it would also tear all the flesh off your bones and leave you smoking pile on the ground before you ever got there. And so we're going to ignore our physics completely because we're using magic right now. And because we're in the realm of magic, if you are not actually strong, you can't actually hit someone for very much damage, even if you're going really fast.
Additional, more important point. Even though her point is great. There's no ramp-up speed in Scion. So if you could do all that, and speed mattered, going around the world would be pointless. You could do that from here.
That's true, actually, because there's no...
You can get the same amount of speed from
You can
2
instantly
feet.
Dash. Like, there's no, time it takes you to go 0 to 60. You just go. Mm. Because, again, magic.
So you could go your full speed instantly to punch someone every time.
Yeah, and if you go all the way around the world, you're still going the same speed you were the first 5 ticks that you left.
Which brings me to the Ultimate Dex commentary, which was you could do that, but it wouldn't change. You could Ultimate Dex the same between 2 feet as doing a massive stunt around the world. I would say if you wanted Ultimate Dex as your around the world punch, sounds
cool.
like great use of it.
It's
going to be the same bonus as the guy that Ultimate Dexes to hit someone 100 times at once.
Yeah, but I mean, it'll still be a cool stunt.
Yeah, if you're spending Ultimate Dex, it's going to go fucking bananas.
Yeah, Ultimates. Hooray.
Ultimates, great. But then Ultimate Psychopomp.
That one is cooler because you actually can't do an around the world punch with Psychopomp.
So what the way does, or what Ultimate Psychopomp does, is it makes distance not exist. So it kind of crunches the time-space continuum, makes everything a wormhole.
Everything is here to you. You can instantly be anywhere because all places are the same place for you. There's no travel time. So you're not going to run around the world. You don't have to go anywhere. You are wherever you want to be right now. And
by that point, you probably have a couple of yourselves, too, that are in different places. Yeah, you are all places to all people. Yeah. So the way is not designed to help you fight things unless, you need to sneak attack into somewhere you couldn't normally get into. It's not going to make you faster in that sense. At least not right now as written. It's not going to do that for you. Right. I mean, if somebody was running from you, then they would not be running from you. Yeah, they would have. There'd be no way for them to go. There's no running. Yeah. But yeah, I should also point out that going all the way around the world for the around the world punch is actually really difficult. You have to have all of the dex stuff maxed and Psychopomp to make that feasible. And even then, it's going to take you about 20 minutes. Yeah, we worked it out because Sangria just got her max dex, and so we're like, if somebody uses Come Along to give her a marathon sprinter, can she do that around the world punch? And the answer was she can, but they have to stay in the same place for 20 minutes before she gets back to them. Right. Ultimate Dex, obviously you can do it because Ultimate Dex goes fast as you fucking want. But below but Sangria's got animal feature that helps speed and a relic that helps speed and max dexterity and all the knacks, and still gonna take her 20 minutes. Yeah, I mean it's really super impressive. That's a speed that you can't even comprehend how fast that is, but it's still not going to be instant unless you pop the ultimate, because that's what the ultimate is for. Mm-hmm. Then you can run around the world in 5 seconds and punch the guy. Yeah. So there you go. So yeah, go for it. Sounds like a really cool character concept. But I make a concept that's better than just a flash. Make it a character. I think that's a good place to start as a hero, and hopefully you will grow into some new things. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. What kind of penalty or bonus should exist for sexual orientation? If Zeus wants to sleep with a straight guy or a gay girl, do they get some moderate bonus to resist him?
So, I was trying to figure out how to phrase this, and I didn't want to upset gay people. And so, because today is National Coming Out Day. Nope, a week ago was National Coming Out Day.
Yes, you're just behind.
Because I'm in the future. So, instead of talking about a gay guy getting hit on by a girl and resisting that, if Zeus were to come up to me and hit on me, I wouldn't be thinking of Zeus as a dude, really. Although he has dude parts, he wants to do dude things to me. It's his appearance is beyond orientation. He is a godly appearance that is just meh.
Not to mention ultimate charisma.
Yes.
It's a question of, once it hits that point of supernatural powers, it's no longer a question of what you would normally do. Because they could use that supernatural power on someone who was an orientation that normally liked them and just was saying no, and still force them to do it. Like, the idea that orientation is a real and powerful thing. But when you're using magic that says you have to do a thing, that's universal. Like, it's just as powerful against someone who's like, that's not the way I swing, as it would be against someone who's like, I hate you and I don't want to, even though that's the way I swing.
Right. So I think orientation is, a good stunt for that, to try to resist.
Yes, definitely.
Like, hey, I don't swing that way, and then you make your roll, and maybe you do now.
Yeah, or you don't, but this time you have to. It
doesn't necessarily change your orientation. It
exactly.
could or it could not. That's a character call. But what it does do is that person is hot.
Yeah.
That is attractive. And I think if you read more into orientation, it's generally more of a spectrum. And there are definitely,
It depends on the person always.
It's
always the specific
person.
So that's always going to be on the ST playing the character or you playing the character to know where you fall. In terms of, like, are you anywhere on the bisexual spectrum? Are you completely on one side? It's always going to be a little bit different.
But I think, like, studies have shown that very few people are completely one way or the other, just in things they find attractive. Like, you can look at a really, like, even if we're just talking about, like, a statue, like a really hot dude, a Greek statue, and be like, that's a hot dude. I mean, I don't want to sex that dude because he hasn't used, like, some superpower on me yet. But I can see that dude is physically attractive.
But like any other time a power is used on you, you can get stunt dice, but that's a power being used on you.
Yeah.
Just existing, like, anytime you don't want, like, someone's going to over-order you to stab your brother, you don't get extra stunt dice because you're related to him.
Yes, you do.
Well, no, that's only in hypnosis, if it happens later.
Maybe.
You have to stunt to get the dice for an over. Like, or if you over-order, they're like, break this thing that you own, that you really, really love this thing. Break this vase your grandmother gave you. You're not going to get a bonus against that because it's something you really don't want to do. Not that breaking a vase is in any way on the level with orientation. This is a hard question to talk about because any metaphor I make is wrong. But
I got it.
Go.
If I overt order you to go have sex with that guy, it's the same thing.
Exactly. Because you don't want to have sex with that guy. It doesn't matter who you are or what orientation you are or whether you ever like having sex ever. You're being forced to do it by a power, which sucks. But if the power works, the power works. You can get dice to resist it by stunting, but you're not going to get any just for being a person that doesn't want to do it, because of course you're a person that doesn't want to do it, or even be over-ordering you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, no, if Zeus shows up and wants to sleep with you and you're a straight dude, you don't get any dice just for being straight. You're going to have to deal with Zeus.
Maybe probably have sex with Zeus.
Yeah, probably. I mean, who wouldn't, right?
Yeah, no,
that's just a thing that's going to happen, probably.
He's an attractive guy, I assume.
Yeah, but anyway.
Next question.
All right. Oh, excuse me. In your write-up of Imamu, it mentions that attacks made by death or health boons damage the creatures. Obviously, negative health boons can be used offensively, but what death boon could hurt something that isn't a ghost?
What is Umamu?
Imamu is the beast realm.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Is the Akkadian word for beasts.
Fuck Akkadians.
Bestiality, yeah.
They're just such a discipline.
Okay, so this is actually a system thing we have to explain that isn't in our house rules.
Yes, okay.
And we're sorry.
Boom.
It's difficult.
All right,
okay.
so I hope you're watching this if you don't know about our crazy system. But so there's...
our players are all like, of course you can use death. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
but
so when we say you can use a power against creatures from that realm or creatures in that realm, you can use a purview. We don't mean powers from the purview automatically work.
Like, you're not going to use exorcism on a living thing, because it doesn't work that way. That doesn't happen.
But what you can do is... I let them for 1 legend. Although I actually think I'm gonna make it. I think it's balanced. It's actually more 2 legend. I think it's a 2 legend thing.
I think it may be on a scale, maybe depending on how much.
Oh, maybe a scale. That's I think a better way to do it.
But anyway, right now it's just 1.
Yeah. But you can just focus your power on the purview because you're fighting something that is the antithesis of that purview. So if you were fighting a death monster and you had health, you just really focus the antithesis of the purview and you just can just blast that energy because there aren't a lot of, and there shouldn't be,
attack powers in every purview.
Like-
they
like
don't
a-
have
yeah,
them, and they
like-
shouldn't have them because that's silly. Not every not every purview needs death laser.
Yeah.
But
So I thought instead of finding a way to give everything death laser, if there's just a small scaling, you can focus the energy of that purview against the thing that is the antithesis of that purview, and it does just unsoakable damage.
and that'll take whatever form you're gonna stunt it. So like when our PCs do it with sun, they're usually like it causes sun lasers that shoot things. But if you did it with like death, like maybe you're using death against something that is very life oriented, and so you like covered in like
Like
the
a plant that
decay
would
or
necrosis,
something.
like necrosis
Yeah,
leaves off.
and I mean it's a much better system than giving a death laser to every purview because that way it only works against things that it should work against. You can't have a fertility death laser that affects everything. It will only affect things that fertility should be able to fight.
Like death and animals.
Maybe.
So what you do is you spend right now it's spend a legend. Although I need to adjust that, I think. Spend the legend and you roll your boons in dice. This roll can be affected by stun dice and by deeds and channels and
Spinning the power for an auto?
bone of fortuna, spinning willpower for an auto, but
Whatever you
not
get.
a lot else. It's just a
Yeah.
straight dice roll, no epics, no anything. And then that damage is just automatic.
Straight unsoakable damage to the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can do it like it's a really cool thing to work with because you can be like, okay, I'm creating this illusion creature, and it's going to be super tricky and difficult to deal with. But if someone has justice, they can just like slam it with the power of justice, and it doesn't even matter if they use justice boons. Justice itself is so antithetical to what that thing is that it will hurt it.
Yeah. It also lets more people be involved in combats that might not be able to. Like, people go when they start and they're like, oh, I can't hit this thing's DV, I keep missing. Oh,
Yeah.
well, let's think for a minute. Because, the PCs always have to figure out what'll work on it. And then, so, like, while the fighters are still fighting, they're, like, figuring out what'll hurt it. And then they're like, oh, stars are going to work into this. Hey, you have stars? Great.
Exactly. Like, the in-character's back there, like, what is going to hurt this thing? And so, like, when you're in a combat and Vivian is like, I can't hit anything's DV because my dex is terrible, and I can't take any more hits because I'm injured, then she can go, wait, it's a sun monster. I can shoot it with darkness. And then she will, like, cover it in shadows that choke the life out of it, or whatever she stunts that
Right.
as. And
It's like, hey, now you're super effective, too, and everybody gets to do stuff and have
Yeah.
fun.
And so you still have your boons, which are going to usually be your big party piece powers because they do specific awesome things. But if you're fighting something that's specifically opposed to your power, you can use that power against it just because that is what it is naturally designed to oppose.
And whoever's doing that, the creature probably going to attack them.
Yeah, I mean, when somebody is dealing unsoakable ag to you, you're going to kill them first.
Yeah.
Because
So that's just,
that's
you
not
know.
okay.
Don't like take all of this except that last part
Yeah.
and then be like, oh no, now we just have a tank and then everybody else shoots unsoakable ag. And it's
Yeah,
great.
no, because they're going to ignore that tank. Is the tank doing 2 lethal to me every turn and that guy's doing 8 ag? I'm going to kill that guy.
Yeah.
That guy right there, the squishy mage. Fuck him.
Everything I can possibly do to kill him.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, it's so that's the system we use. So when we talk about that, because it's the animal realm, you can use health and death to oppose it because death and disease are the things that animals die from. You know,
But since
take
we
out
used
death.
3, I'd probably add fertility.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to finishing the beast realm. We're working on it right now in our Titan realm project, but obviously it's not
So
done.
many projects. And fixing this huge fucking house.
Oh, you can't see the rest of our house. It's full of boxes. Goddamn
It's
mess. So
I also hurt my back, and so I've been out for like 2 weeks.
poor baby. All right.
Next question.
How many avatars do you have to pop to make a planet?
1 million.
How do you accomplish anything meaningful in space without constantly using avatars?
Space!
Space. Well, first of all, you can do stuff in space. All you need is either the stamina
pressure.
knack under pressure, and then you can just fly into space and just deal with it. Marcus James did that. He flew from the Earth to the moon, like physically flew there because he had under pressure, and he was just like, I'll just hold my breath and get there. So you can go out into space and run around. You've got whale's breath or under pressure or create air so you can keep an air bubble around yourself. Any of those things. Science can do space travel. They don't normally unless this ST has something going on somewhere else in the solar system.
But space should be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, something goes wrong. Like, if you get knocked out, you're just gonna fucking implode, right? Like, or you get knocked... If you're using create air to keep air, and then you get knocked out, like, you're gonna not have air anymore, and that's gonna suck.
Not that you need to breathe super often. I mean, there's no food up there.
Depends on your stand.
Far.
Yeah. It's cold.
Lot of stuff that makes space scary. But you do whatever else you want in space that you would do anywhere normally.
Yeah, and if you've got Scions who are wannabe spacefarers, then set some stuff up in your plot that happens on other planets or whatever. In space! You can do stuff. As for making a planet, how many avatars do you have to blow? I don't know, what do you want your planet to be?
Yeah, what kind of planet? You want to make Mars?
Do you just want a rock in space?
You want
because that will be
rock?
Earth.
That's Earth.
But if you want things to be...
Wait, does your rock have water? Okay, that's water.
Do you want your rock to have an atmosphere? You need sky.
You want plants?
Yeah, I mean, everything that you want to exist there that does not exist right now, you will need an avatar for. Like, you can't... and, you know, you're not going to be able to blow them all at once. You're going to probably need a committee to make a planet. And,
you know, like, let's call it a pantheon.
Yeah, let's say there's a pantheon, you want to make a planet, and it will...
And I would actually say, depending on the size of... I'd say if you want to make Earth, you need, like...
3 Earth gods?
10.
10 Earth gods? It depends on how, like... There's no set limit on, like, what the shaper can do, but if you're creating an entire planet from scratch, like, that's such a massive amount of Earth, and you have to call it out of nowhere, that we would probably say you can't do that by yourself. You need more than one person with that power.
Yeah, so, like we were talking a long time ago, I lost the thing. It was right here. I had my old list of things that Go is needed in order to make an underworld.
Ah, that's right. He needed a lot of shit.
Yeah, and so, you know, just having several of the gods that control things. I know, in the God game, to fix the Fate realm, Woody is putting together a
crack team.
Yeah, a Fate moot, where like all the like Fate-ticians are gonna get together and try to figure out with their powers combined if they can fix things.
Yeah, I think and you're always gonna need somebody with the weird. At least one person with the weird. Anytime you're doing something that is massive, that important. What is she doing?
She's trying to go in the secret room.
Sorry, our cats are being spazzes. But yeah, usually you'll need the weird anytime you're going to do something that's like massively changing to fate. Like having another inhabited planet. It's massively changing.
I mean, especially if you want people on that, like the weird's going to have to start spinning the fate stuff.
Exactly. And you know, not that it's part of your question, but if you create a new planet, I hope you don't think that your pantheon is going to just have free reign of it and none of the other gods are going to bother it.
No, everybody else means like...
New real estate! So, yeah. But no, you can definitely do it. It's going to take a lot of people. It's going to take a lot of resources. Be ready to deal with it.
God, it sounds not worth it.
But if it's something you really want to do, figure out a way to do it. I bet you can. All right. Is it possible for a craft god like Hephaestus to use the creator to forge a full-grown adult Scion with human blood and his own ichor? Would this actually create a Scion, or would it be some kind of lesser mortal
I
construct?
answered this question earlier to myself, or Anne and I were talking about it, and I think I actually disagree.
With yourself earlier?
With myself earlier.
Okay. Tell us about it.
Because so what I was going to say was it wouldn't create a Scion, but you could blow it to create a god. And I actually disagree with that now.
Okay.
Because I think you could blow it to make a really awesome robot. But the creator doesn't make flesh.
But maybe it does. Like, for example, Hephaestus made Pandora. And she became flesh.
I think she's kind of a titan, though.
She just didn't do anything.
She's like a horrible thing.
Oh, she opened it. I mean, she was like a complete cat's paw, though, right? Like, the gods set her up to open this thing in order to screw everyone. And that's the only thing she ever did in her entire life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she's...
Right, so I think it's definitely not Scion. I think that's ground one, because you can't make a Scion.
The thing about Scions is that they are so special, and being a human and being from humanity is
that's
so
what makes the game important and good. That's what makes the PC important, is
he needs to come from humanity. Special. And just, I have a drop of human blood, so I'm going to forge one. That isn't coming from humanity. That's semantics and technicality. He should come from being a human, because that's what Scions do and that's what Scions are.
You could clone one. Could you clone one?
I think you could clone one because he would come out as a human until he was visited.
Yeah. Yeah, you can clone humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you could use the creator to make a human with your own ichor in him, and then he could be tapped as a Scion. But he wouldn't be, like, fully... Like, you couldn't create a Legend 5 Scion and just have him run around.
Right. I think you'd still need human stuff. You need human DNA.
Well, yeah, they're saying if I have human blood and Hephaestus' blood, can I make a Scion?
Yeah.
And, I mean, the question of fully grown, like, you can fuck around with that in so many ways. Like, I would say that you're robbing yourself if you don't have a childhood of some kind because you don't have any character development. If you just create a character that was born yesterday as a full adult, you have nothing to work with, you know?
Really boring. I know a lot of people don't think about their childhood, but like it's so important. It's what we all our reactions are because of how we like grew up and stuff. So you're cheating your character of all that.
I mean, what this sounds like to me is that someone has an idea that would be really cool if you were reading a book, but that is trying too hard for making a character backstory in a role-playing game. Because it sounds to me like you're trying to make a character who has a cool backstory, but the backstory doesn't matter. Like, once he's been created, who cares? Not only does he not have his human life to draw on for any experience, but no one's going to bring that up again. No one gives a shit how he was created. No one's ever going to talk about it again, really.
Yeah,
There's no reason for that to be what happened.
I don't get to play a lot of PCs, but generally when I play a PC, he's just a normal guy. Like he has a job and he has a normal life. And, you know, I play, you know, maybe he's autistic or he's got some developmental problems or, you know, he really likes to party. You know, it could be different shades of that, but making him a normal person and then building on that is what makes a good character, not starting with, well, my character is bananas. And then,
I mean, if your character was made fully formed by Hephaestus, I mean, what is that going to matter? After you explain it to the ST as your backstory, whoever cares again? Mm-hmm. Maybe you'll play up some interesting stuff about, I've never been in human society, but that's only going to take you so far. And you could get that just as easily if you were like, well, I was raised in the woods or whatever. Like, it's just, you're trying too hard to be special, and you're already special because you're a Scion. Like, this is the game of special snowflakes. You don't need to do that. And it's not actually...
God.
It doesn't actually make you that much more interesting or special. It actually detracts from it, in my opinion, anyways. But I think it is technically possible. I don't think I would ever want to do it.
I think the only interesting thing to do, and I think this is actually better done without a god doing it, is the idea of how fate works with clones.
Ooh, yeah, like, does the clone have the same fate as a...
Right, like, do you need the weird to actually make that guy a Scion? Because as a clone, is he actually nothing?
Is it not his fate to be a Scion? Because the person that was originally cloned from would have been that
right.
person. Which is weird, especially if that original person wasn't a Scion, was just a human. You cloned him from a human, so his fate is to be a human. His visitation doesn't work.
Right, his visitation might not work at all.
That might be some interesting things you could...
Yeah, I think cloning and stuff is some interesting ideas of fate. Because I think the fate idea does a weird thing, or kind of mirrors a lot of the problems modern Christianity has with cloning. The moral implications. You don't want to play God.
I mean, obviously, Hephaestus can play God all he wants, but if...
No, because Hephaestus can't play fates.
And that's always Fate is always the top level of authority in Scion, so is that something that will cause fate problems? And that's something I think every ST is probably going to come up with a different answer to, which is interesting. So, neat. All right. I've been going back through and reading the core rules specifically about animal, and I've noticed...
You made a mistake. I suggest burning the books.
And I have noticed
burn books.
That the Scion Seth Pharaoh, as he goes through his ascension, begins to naturally look much more like a snake, which seems to me that he was implying that an evolution in his natural state over time. How would this be done, handled, or represented from both a player perspective or an ST perspective? Well, first of all, I would say that I don't think it's implying that. I think you're looking at art of him when he has used animal feature. The same way when you look at art of, like, the guy that's got fire in his hand, it's not implying his fire in his hand all the time.
With you,
he has fire boons.
But can you keep talking and give me the Demigod and God book?
Yeah, sure.
I want to make sure it doesn't actually say.
Oh, okay, maybe. Yeah. All right, so... Demigod. And I got God over here.
Okay.
So... I think, you're looking at character art, which means they're going to be showing off some of their powers. And in the case of Seth, one of his most important powers is that he has snake powers. He's god of serpents in his final incarnation.
More importantly, artists and the guys that write stuff don't necessarily get to talk a whole lot.
Yeah, like, the writer will tell the artist something about what he's drawing, obviously, but he's not going to know everything. He's not going to have gone through that writing process with the person who created the character.
And often in these books, he won't know the rules or how anything works. Is it Shinsengumi? Is that this stupid thing? Yeah.
Yes, it is. Is that this stupid thing? This does not say that he has snake parts. It's just in the art. But his art is definitely, snake parts.
Right.
But, so, this is what Seth looks like as a god in the original books. Obviously, as a cobra head, he has a lot of scaly skin and stuff going on. But I would say that looks like a guy that is in the middle of using animal feature when this picture was taken, The same way that if you're looking at the picture of Sly... and he's got fire in his hand or fire in his hair, that's either a relic where he's using fire boons, or you're looking at Kane Kaneteoka with the black shadow coming out of his back, it's because he has darkness spoons. Doesn't mean he has a black shadow that follows him around all the time, necessarily. So, personally, I don't think that's actually happening. I don't think they're trying to say Seth looks like a snake all the time. I think they're saying he has snake powers. He can look like a snake. Here's some art of him looking like the god of snakes. He is an Egyptian god, however, which makes me think he may have he has snake head all the time. Because Egyptian gods do have animal heads. And that is something that we've talked about a lot, and it could be done a lot of different ways. Generally, we would treat it kind of like an Aztec god having an Awali, where it's probably a permanent birthright feature that he picks up when he becomes a god. Mm-hmm. So...
But I don't think the book thought of that.
Well, I think they did think of... Because he's an Egyptian god, I think that's why he has an animal head. Mm. And that makes sense, but it's not necessarily something that's going to happen to every god. I mean, he's an Egyptian, that's specifically why that happens. The other people in his band that are not Egyptians don't have animal heads, and it's not because none of them have animal. I mean, I think Marie has some animal, right? Or something. Right. Anyway.
And Demigod definitely talks about him becoming a snake, but it's being metaphorical.
Oh, yeah, and it talks about his slippery as the snakes he emulates in this, but it doesn't actually say he turns into a snake. So, I think you're looking at a modernized artwork of an Egyptian god that has an animal head. So, I would be more inclined to say either he's using animal feature, the book writers didn't write bestial nature, we did, but that's another option, or he's actually just got an animal head birthright, which is something that we would probably expect most Egyptian gods to have, because a lot of them have that permanent animal head going on. So, that was not actually what you were asking about, though. You were asking about, can animal do that for me? And the answer is that animal boons can, yes, but that they do it through animal feature and bestial nature. So, bestial nature is the best example. We wrote it specifically for this kind of stuff, because it gives you permanent animal features when you use it. For example, Sangria, now Estelle, always has bat wings and always has giant bat fangs, because she's used bestial nature on 2 different features. And so those are permanent. They're always there. They're there because she has animal and is part of that bat imagery. But they're not there just because she has animal. She had to actually buy a boon and use it to get them. How you doing back there?
I'm good.
Got anything to add?
No. Sounds great.
I don't think you heard anything I said. But I'm pretty sure that I've...
you talk about Sangria's crap.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alright. Is it possible that Machu Picchu could be a massive Waka,
yes,
possibly to Inti? It is possible. I think it might be a little too big. Waka are usually small localized things. Not necessarily small. Like a mountain can be a Waka. But a city is such a weird thing to use for that.
Machu Picchu is kind of a city, right? It's like it's more than the city on the mountain, right? It's like more like the temple.
Yeah, I mean it's a former sacred site. It definitely would have had Waka in it above all things. Like because
I think it's so like well known and sacred that it might be the Pantheon got together and all spent one of their Waka to make one giant with some like weird action.
Which would be the things that are still standing when most of Machu Picchu has fallen down. Mm-hmm. Waka are usually almost always natural features. They're not, like, buildings aren't going to be Waka. But Machu Picchu stands on a mountain. It is full of natural geography that is still there, even though the buildings themselves have fallen down. So that, I would definitely say, there's definitely probably some Waka at play there for somebody. Viracocha and Inti are the best candidates, but anybody could have gotten in on that. That was nice and simple. Mm-hmm. All right. In Scion, do you ever have storms without storm gods?
Oh, the storm question.
Are all storms caused by storm gods, or are some storms natural unless the local storm god intervenes? In Scandinavia, is all lightning directly caused by Thor, or only some? And if storms are created by the storm gods, how does meteorology actually work?
God, so this is really cool.
It's a really great
question. It's deals with the thing that is my major that I forgot the name of. Eschatology?
Eschatology. Eschatology is the end of the world scenario.
God damn it. You're right.
Cosmology?
Nope, not really. Anyway, it's talking about like the things that gods do and like how that affects things and the reasons that happens outside of, I don't know, it's a really neat thing.
It is. We've actually talked about it a whole lot back when we were writing the Arab Pantheon, because their purview was all about like journeying through phenomena and how do they get through those things, and we had a lot of talks about like, does that come into conflict with people's purviews? Are those phenomena natural, or are they things that are created?
Here's how it goes. Gods are first around when most of their stories are happening. The Greeks call it the heroic age. They call it. There are a couple ages before that. But I mean, really, the main stuff happens during the heroic age. During that time, I like to think across all pantheons, we get the glut of their stories. That's during their heroic age. Their time when the myths were more real before the Titans were locked up, or directly after, or directly before.
When gods were still actively doing things before they said we can't fate bonds anymore.
Yeah. During that period of time, in each area, the weather was probably controlled by the one weather god. Plants were actually controlled. You know, when they were actually worshipped to, as doing all that stuff all the time.
Exactly. That's why the Fertile Crescent was so fertile, because they have like 5 rain gods, and they were just constantly like, please rain. Versus like there's only 1 rain god in Persia, and so a little further down you have less of a fertile area.
But
and
then
that kind of thing all over the world.
At some point, they have to say a bunch of different possibilities, but I'm busy. I got other stuff to do now. I'm running a kingdom. Fate bonds suck balls. That's a lot of legend to spend all the time.
I'm done with humanity. I don't like them anymore.
I don't like humanity anymore.
My boss said I can't go to Earth anymore. Perrin cries a little bit.
Yeah. And so what you do then is use Ultimate Sky and set up weather patterns.
And you say, I'm creating a permanent weather system.
Permanent weather system that lives here until somebody shuts it off, and then we fight. So this is the weather system here. So that's why different parts of the world have different weather, because of the god who set that up.
You've got the monsoon in India that isn't in all the rest of the world, because the Indian storm gods put it there. Right.
And so long ago, at some point, the god said, okay. And the god of the oceans did the same thing with the tides. And, you know, the gods of the lakes did the same thing with the moon gods, the tides.
Yeah, I mean, the desert god said, I'm setting up a permanent sandstorm that lives here.
Or or sand weather. You know, this is how this desert works. This is the rules of the desert.
Exactly.
This is my permanent feature that I'm kind of setting here on Earth. And then it worked. So our idea of meteorology is just the study of the thing that God set up and how that works.
We're recognizing the patterns that he set up in whatever millennia that he did that.
Right.
And being able to predict based on those. And based on the interaction between weather from 2 different storm gods that like touches at the edges and causes things to happen.
Yeah, like, I always notice, you know, and we explain it many ways because we're stupid humans, but it has to do with, this mountain range changes the weather from 1 to 1. And because of El Nino, like, we had a warm water system during these years, and it rains and more, and
etc. And you know, those things are real; they exist, but they exist because God created them originally. So meteorology is as exact as it can be, because it's actually, there are natural phenomena, and you are looking at what they do. But those natural phenomena were originally created and set in motion by a god.
And you know, if one day that god needs to show up and make it thunder and lightning and rain, he can just do that.
Yeah. So you're looking at. Not every natural thing that happens is going to necessarily be a power that's happening right now that you have to fight against or that will affect you because someone's directly pointing it at you, but it was at some point created, just like everything else in the world of Scion was created by a god.
Yeah.
Which is neat. I think it's actually a really cool background.
It's super neat. It's not something that humans in the world probably should believe at all, except, you know, other than those that are monotheistic in the world, until they start seeing an action and, more importantly, get fate bound to that thing.
Exactly.
And
when
then
you start to see a storm
that.
god doing those things, that's when you start to go, okay,
yeah, your brain goes
that's what that
bananas,
means.
and you're like, wow.
And that is all of our questions today.
Nice.
About
all
gods and pantheons, which was super
goodbye,
fun.
everybody. That was a good glut of questions. I like the word glut. It's like glut. Wait, but before you cut us off, we need to talk about next week. Next week on our vlog, you will see such exciting topics as...
Next week is Fate Bond Week.
Such exciting topics as fate bonds, and how that affects things.
Yes. Fate Week.
Fate Week.
Tune in.
Yes.
See you guys later.